Good morning, everybody. Aaron Nagler here with your Packers Daily Chat on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Good to see everybody this morning. Already mixing it up in the comments section each and every day here at Cheesehead TV. That's what we do throughout the year. We don't stop just because the season stops. We keep talking Packers all throughout the off season. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me. What's up, Nags? Go Pack Go. Good morning. Good morning, John. How are you? I still can't believe we took Kevin King over TJ Watt. Adam, buddy, let it go. Let it go. It's over. It's done with. It's been over. We've been new. It's all over. Bye bye. Adios. If they pick TJ Watt, they probably don't sign the Smiths. And they don't have this complete overhaul on defense and in the building as far as their vibe. And who knows if, what happens with McCarthy or LaFleur, etc. Man, that's so long ago. It's ancient history. Why are you reading about Mesopotamia? I don't get it, man. Let it go. Hearing Pettin was one of the smarter guys. Oh, wait, what did that say? Hearing that Pettin was one of the smarter guys in the room, why didn't that translate to on field success? They were a top 10 defense. I think they had some success. Now, it wasn't always consistent. Probably dipped a little bit more than we would like. But overall, the defense was playing pretty damn well down the stretch. Best way to get under the cap? Probably lots of restructures and a couple of cuts. Alex, what's up? Get Adams done. That is it, man. Another way to get under the cap is to extend guys. I think there's a chance that Adams gets done sooner rather than later. Zadarius Smith is another guy I think has a good chance of getting a contract extension to try and help them massage this cap issue that they're going to be facing. Dustin, thank you for the super chat. How much of Devontae's value is related to his Jordy-esque connection to Rodgers? There's certainly something to that. You always kind of wonder about how guys would perform in other systems with other quarterbacks. We've seen guys leave Green Bay and kind of disappear, no doubt about it. I do think Devontae is a bit of a special case, though. You can't deny that his ability to get off press man coverage, basically get off any release, really, and create separation, just basically create off the snap of the football is pretty rare. And that doesn't have much to do with Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron having trust in him and throwing to him even when there isn't much separation, that's, probably special to that combination. But I do think he would shine wherever he was in the league. TKM, you're at your post. DCMP to the Bears. Bears still suck. Love what you do, Nags. Pappy Fund. Thanks, buddy. Glad to see you at your post. Thanks for joining us. What else? Any free agents you're keeping an eye on? Aaron, not yet. Simply because two things. We don't know what the cap number is. We don't know how teams are going to have to maneuver. And B, re-signings, restructurings, and tags have yet to happen. I say it every year. Everyone's going to look at their quote-unquote free agency lists, whatever outlet you choose to decamp to find those things. And they're going to make their circles, and they're going to say, oh, I want this guy, I want that guy, their shopping list. And then all of a sudden, re-signings happen, tags get placed, and those lists become pretty picked over at that point. So let's get a real idea of who might be available before we start going fantasy free agent shopping. What's the current Pappy Fund count, Lewis? I have no idea. Honestly, I gotta think it's hovering around 1,000 probably. I don't know. No clue. Okay, next. So, what is it that a senior defensive assistant does exactly? Corey, that's an excellent question. It's something you'd have to ask the Vikings, who had Capers in that role last year, the Lions, who have Capers in that role this year, and the Bears, who have Pettin in that role this year. I mean, I tend to think it's, you've got a young play caller or young defensive coordinator in Chicago. They want a senior eye on the proceedings. Now, the obvious kind of point to leap to here is, okay, and if the young guy isn't up to snuff and can't make it happen and is in trouble, well, now you've got someone who's very easily able to step in. Of course, I don't know if that's a good dynamic, but that would be, to me, a pretty obvious thing. Walter, thank you for the super chat. How would you say Barry did with the linebackers in LA last year? Pretty good, but, they didn't play a ton of backers. They played a lot of sub, as most teams do, and they had Aaron Donald in front of them. So, it's not that just made everything easier, but it certainly affects things. But that said, I thought he did a fine job. It's impossible to really say how a position coach does on the outside looking in. And I know every one of those guys is usually judged publicly by the output of their charges. Like, the wide receivers coach. If the wide receivers do well, oh, hey, he's doing a great job. But there's so much more to it than that. So I seem to do a fine job, but that doesn't mean a whole lot. Dustin, thanks for the super chat. Add $5 to the unmonitored Pappy Fund. I love it. We're going to have to hire an intern to go through and comb the Pappy Fund super chats. Are Bears and Vikings obsessed with Green Bay? Not the fans, the organizations. I don't know about obsessed, but they certainly keep tabs and or try to poach from Green Bay whenever they can. I don't think the track record speaks for itself, right? No doubt about that. Arthur, thank you for the super chat. Is this the year we finally draft a stud linebacker? No. Sorry, buddy. Pancakes. It's what's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm down with that. If B.J. Raji entered the draft, I'd draft him. Well, sadly, he's not eligible. But yes, I would very much like to pair him with Kenny Clark. I'm all in on that. Jamal Williams is the GOAT. The GOAT! Big B, what is up? Speaking of the GOAT, Big B is here. How you doing, Big B? Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us last night in the Patreon happy hour. Always good to see your smiling face. When will the league announce the cap? That's a great question. Something everybody would like to know. Got to think the league and the PA are working on it. Hopefully sooner rather than later, because I can't imagine that any personnel guy or cap guy is sitting out there, not maybe not making daily calls, but trying to get an answer so that they can start going to work. But everything flows off of it. You can't really start constructing your roster until you know what it is. So hopefully, like I said, sooner rather than later. Pettin should drag King to Chicago too. Oh boy, could you imagine? Is Mike Daniels a free agent? Would be a nice depth piece on the line. He's a familiar name, but the Packers moved on for a reason. He is at the end of his career. Love Mike. Always been a good guy. It was always really good to me when I was on the beat. But that time has passed. Anybody know what that quote is from? Special shout out to anybody who can get that quote. That quote is, "That time has passed." What movie is it from? William, thanks for the super chat. When you talked to Rob, y'all mentioned entitled town, but for me, you expect more than 2 rings with 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Is it wrong wanting more for your team? It's not wrong at all. Not at all. Look, we all approach our fandom and how we arrive at it in very different ways. We all have different backgrounds. We all go through different things in our lives. And then we arrive at the Green Bay Packers, which is supposed to be a pleasant diversion, a distraction, entertainment. When I was growing up, the Packers sucked for a real long time, for decades, literally decades. And the idea of them making the playoffs was like winning the Super Bowl. The one year they did it, it took a strike to shorten the season for the Packers to make the playoffs. So that's the prism I'm viewing it through. So the idea that if they don't make the Super Bowl, if they don't win more championships, it's failure, to me is ludicrous. I love it. I love that they're making runs every year. It still stomps on my heart when they lose in the NFC Championship game. I'm still depressed for days afterwards, no doubt about it. But I have a 30,000-foot view where I can say, God, we have it pretty fucking good. As some guy on Twitter last night said, man, I wish my team was losing in the NFC Championship or a championship game, and I was worried about wasting players' primes. You guys have no idea how good you have it. Exactly. Entitled. Packers fans feel entitled to championships. The 2 Hall of Fame quarterback thing to me is always wild because it's like they didn't arrive as Hall of Famers. Brett Favre was a third stringer in Atlanta getting drunk every night. And then he came to Green Bay and all he did was throw interceptions. It took the Packers to turn him into a Hall of Fame quarterback. Aaron Rodgers fell to 24th after going to be the first overall pick. Oh, wait, maybe not. Gets down there to 24. The Packers took him. Those first 2 summers, he was terrible. Terrible in training camp and preseason. Terrible. Ask anybody who was there. The Packers developed him into a Hall of Fame quarterback. The Packers did that. They didn't just arrive. So, yes, Have they won 2 championships with those quarterbacks? You damn right they have. And I loved every second of it. And I don't begrudge a moment when they've been trying to get back to the Super Bowl. They haven't wasted anything. I've had a ball. Now, plenty of you, I know this, are much younger than myself and only know Favre and Rodgers. So you're coming at this from a very different point of view. And I understand that. Totally get it. I'm not going to tell you how to fan, but I will tell you, you are entitled. Dave, thanks for the super chat. Would be a hell of a year for Goody to hit a few home runs in the draft. True every year, but maybe a bit more so this year. I mean, absolutely. Especially in a year where I can't imagine they're going to be freewheeling in free agency. This is a year, though, where they've got less information on these prospects than ever before. I think this is the year he has to trade down as much as possible, take as many swings at the plate as he possibly can. But yeah, it would be nice to have a couple of immediate contributors. Now, we all know that is not traditionally the way it happens in Green Bay, but hopefully they unearth a few guys who can step in and help the team right away, no doubt. We also know Hundley nags. Yeah, I had said on Twitter that one of those games that he started, this is like being a Packers fan in the 80s. All of a sudden, Gary is a beast. I mean, it wasn't all of a sudden. He's developing. I do find it hilarious when people say that, the people that said he was a bust his first 3 or 4 games. There is no patience at all. Wish they would have traded down last year. Yeah, I was expecting them to. I thought for sure they were going to trade. I kept joking with Corey during the watch party for the draft that we were going to waste the entire Thursday night just sitting there only to have the Packers trade down and out of the first round. But, of course, that didn't happen. Belly, thanks for the super chat. Should the Packers have kept Blake Martinez? Not at that price. Not at $10 million a year. No way. No chance. No how. He's productive. No doubt about it. Love Blake as a guy. But, yeah, no, not at that price. I remember when we beat the Bears, it was like a Super Bowl. Just saying, you younger Packer fans. Aaron Harper, you are not lying. I was at the Ravens game when Hundley started. Ugly. The ugliest thing about that game was that bomb, quote unquote, that he threw up the right sideline that just hung there forever. It was like, oh God, it's going to be a long day. To be fair, we still made the playoffs even when Hundley was starting. They beat the Bears with Hundley at quarterback down in Chicago. That was a great game. That was a cold game. What about Seneca Wallace? Seneca Wallace was like what? For like 3 plays or something before he got hurt. That whole sequence was nuts when like the QBs just kept getting hurt. Worst game I ever went to. Yeah, I don't doubt it, man. That was a rough one. People have incredible recency bias and confirmation bias. Joshua, you ain't lying. How about Brady's trophy boat throw? Lenny, I got to admit, that was pretty dope. I'm no Brady fan. You guys know it. I do respect the hell out of his game. That was awesome. I mean, when you've won the Super Bowl 7 times, is this another trophy? What does he care? Would you cut Lowry and Preston Smith to free up money and make a run at Barrett or Williams? I would be absolutely shocked if Barrett actually hits the market. I mean, would I just cut them? I tend to think there's a good chance, I would ask them about restructuring first. I do think there's a good chance they move on from Preston because I can't imagine him acquiescing to a restructure. Lowry, man, I don't know. I probably would. You guys know, but that forces you got to get better. And you got to be able to at least have some capable bodies alongside Kenny Clark, let alone difference makers. We know Lowry's not a difference maker, but he is pardon the obvious cliche, he is a lunch pail guy. He brings it. Now, I know it's not in concert with what he's being paid and what his cap hit is, but that's why I would probably ask for a restructure first. Not so quick to cut guys, but as Ted was fond of saying, this ain't fantasy football. Extend Amos. That is something that could happen. That is something I think if you're a Patreon member, go listen to my chat with Paul Brettel. We touched on that. We touched on extending Za'Darius and Adams, etc., to create cap space in 2021. And I think Amos is a prime candidate for that. I still believe in PJ Coleman. Huddle, you win the day. That was awesome. Lock up Jair, write the duck now, Matt. I hear you, man. I think, there's obviously they have the ability to put the fifth-year option on him next offseason, but I would get out ahead of that 100%. I would get Jair and Adams done this offseason if they can. Dawson, thanks for the super chat. How about beating San Francisco in San Francisco in '89? Magic, go Pack, go. Those were sweet, man. That's the thing. Those big wins, they were even were just regular season games. They were like Super Bowls, man. I remember what year? I think was it '89 with Magic when they beat the Vikings in the last week of the season and didn't make the playoffs, and it felt like they won the Super Bowl, because they had a win. They went 9-7 or something. That was like one of the happiest days of my young life. You kids these days, I tell you, you don't know the pain. Joshua, thanks for the super chat. You may have already touched on this, but where do you think we go with the first pick? I know, boring of me to ask, but I have to think inside linebacker or corner. It really depends on how the board falls. I think either one of those is a possibility. I do think they would go corner over inside backer. To me, I want defensive line. I want to control things up front. I want to give Kenny Clark a running mate. I'm going to keep saying this until I'm blue in the face, till April comes along. From my initial kind of overview of the draft, it doesn't sound like there's going to be someone worth picking at 29 at inside interior lineman, but you never know. We'll see how it falls. But yeah, there's definitely a possibility those two areas of need could be addressed. Kevin, thank you for the super chat. When Tolzien first entered the game as a Packer, my friend texted me, "Is that Randy Wright?" I responded, "Might as well be." Happy Thursday, Nags. You ain't lying. Tolzien, man. That was a run. Tolzien, Seneca Wallace. Then they went back to Matt Flynn, right? Man, what a year. What a year. Yes, D-line is atrocious. All right, David. Easy now. See, it's not atrocious. They have some players. They have some ability. They're not difference makers. But it's like Mike McCarthy always used to say. They're all good players. You don't get to the NFL by being just a guy. You know? I guess it's a language thing. I don't know. The 70s, 80s, and early 90s were tough. John, you ain't lying, man. Hey, that Tolzien spin was filthy. That was the greatest thing you ever did in a Packers uniform. Come on, man. That was a fantastic play. And the fact that it was against the Vikings makes it even better. Do you think we shore up right tackle? I don't see Wagner or Turner as any more than fill-in guys. All right, Daniel. I don't know about that. As far as Turner goes, Wagner, yeah. But hey, Wagner filled in, quote-unquote, filled in really damn well throughout the season. Obviously, he was overmatched in the NFC Championship game. There's no doubt about it. But they're not playing in that game without Billy Turner and Rick Wagner. So I do think they will look to address kind of right tackle the future in the draft. And I know they selected 3 offensive linemen in the draft last year, but I think all 3 of those guys are obviously probably projected to play inside along the interior. I can't imagine that they would bypass the opportunity to get a long-term answer at right tackle if it presents itself in the draft. But Billy Turner especially, he played really well at right tackle last year. Don't get that twisted. When will we hear from the new defensive coordinator? That is an excellent question, Matt. I'm getting the sense that the Packers are just going to try to let it slide right up until, the draft, probably. Would be my hunch. But we'll see. Anyone else remember Ahmad Carroll? Yikes. How could you forget Ahmad Carroll? It's an awesome offensive tackle class. Huddle, that is what I've read. I'm going to hopefully talk to Matt Miller about the draft class and Packers needs here in the upcoming weeks, and we'll put that up here on the YouTube channel. Can you run a piece, Snags? Where are they now? Anthony Dilwig. Oh, man, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that in their life. My goodness. All right. I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out, talking Packers each and every day here on Packers Daily. I really do mean it when I say it means the world to me that you guys choose to spend, 20 minutes or so each and every morning chatting up Packers with me. It's kind of my therapy, so I love it. I thank you so much. Please do me a monster favor. Hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends, tell your family, Cheesehead TV, we are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day. Go Pack Go.